Hello, I am David D. Hilster. I am a critical thinker, dissident scientist, and I'm here to tell you the truth about science, something university professors won't tell you, the mass media won't tell you, and certainly those science evangelists won't tell you. I saw this headline on one of my favorite pages, the Albert Einstein Facebook page, with 20 million eyeballs on that. Of course, they're going to put all kinds of stuff that's intriguing. They're not getting you with like things like, oh, maybe Einstein's wrong. Every time they do that, of course, they come back and say how he isn't wrong. But they do once in a while have a title that just totally intrigues me, and I like to dig into it. And this is a good opportunity for you to know how to become a critical thinker, or actually say, hey, finally someone like Dave D. Hilster's out, someone like me is out there. Dave D. Hilster thinks the same way I do. When I read this stuff, I think this is mumbo jumbo. A lot of it can be. A lot of it can be just simply the way we use words, and we use them quite poorly often in physics. We want to use them in flowery ways, and they get in the big way of what science and truth in science truly is. Here's the title: Science believes vestiges of a previous universe could be floating around in our own. Now, you know what I think about universe. The word universe is everything. There is nothing outside of the universe. Everything is everything included in the one universe, not two. There are no two universes. There's one. Now we'll discuss the way we should really be talking about this later on, and let's just see what this is all about. The idea challenges the theory of the Big Bang. Oh, that's good. Chalk went up for this person. That challenges the Big Bang. At least people are talking about it. The theory may be seen far-fetched, but only requires that we find the vestige of a previous universe floating around in our own. Can't do that. What do they really mean? Well, again, we'll try to discuss what they probably really mean. No, you don't have a universe floating in another universe. The universe is everything. Okay, most physicists today subscribe to the theory that our universe began in a space-time singularity known as the Big Bang. You know what I think about that as well. Space-time is nothing. It's a dumb concept. Singularity is even worse because it's mathematical, and the mathematically infinitely small point with what? Infinite mass? Well, if it's infinite, then how could that can't be, because it's infinitely small. So it's just mumbo jumbo. The phrase space-time singularity should be thrown out. It should just never be used in the language ever. But this isn't the only theory that's around. Thank goodness. This is embarrassing. If extraterrestrials would come to this planet, the first thing I say is, please forgive us for our insanely stupid ideas in physics and cosmology. There are some good people out there, believe me, there's some really great stuff, but it ain't in mainstream. You're not going to find out mainstream media, and certainly the science evangelists don't push this at all. So, anyways. For instance, some physicists have proposed that our universe is just one among many, can't be, that perhaps space and time did not have a beginning at all. That's one of the most sane things that has been said. I absolutely agree with that. Space and time is movement of stuff, and it had no beginning at all. Yay! There is a truth in this article. These alternative theories are interesting. I hope so, because you're writing about them. But because the other universes that they posit are often conceived as separate from our own, they're difficult to test. I'm sorry. It's not that they're difficult. You test universes. What? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I can't, it's hard for me to get by this. We'll just keep going. But what if the cosmos was not quite so clean cut? What if bubbles of a previous universe still were floating around in our universe, like soap bubbles that didn't quite drain out of the last bath? This idea is a new theory. That's the idea behind a new theory proposed by Brazilian physicist Juliano Cesar Silva Neves. He has pronounced in Portuguese. I always hate people when they do that, like they can show off because they can say, yeah, I speak Portuguese, I do. But that's what they do. I just had to do it too, but no. His name is Juliano Cesar Silva Neves. Okay, that's the way we really should say these things. He has theorized that our universe was never squashed into a Big Bang-like singularity at all. Okay, cool. Rather, he believes that the cosmos has undergone a series of expansions and contractions that have bounced, and these bounces were messy and left vestiges behind, vestiges of previous universes that we can look for in our own universe today. Don't buy any of this, because you have the problem of expansion and contraction, of giving a mechanism for that, and we have none. And when everything we invent, this seems to be quite, in my opinion, unbelievable. And of course, this is a report in physics.org. Ooh, it's big. I believe the Big Bang never happened. Yay, Neves! Who works as a researcher at the University of Campinas in Mathematics, Statistics, and Scientific Computational Institute. Thought he was a physicist. Oh well, doesn't matter, because I don't care. But reporting should be correct. I mean, if the guy isn't or not. In a bouncing universe, each bounce leaves something behind. Neves' theory isn't just a fanciful idea. It's based on a modified version of general relativity equation that describes geometry of the cosmos. Unlike most of these models, Neves' version introduces an additional mathematical function known as the scalar factor, which takes into account the scale of the universe rather than just the cosmological time. And when this scale factor is added into the equation, the Big Bang itself ceases to be a necessary condition for the cosmos to begin universal expansion. It means it doesn't have to get really totally small and get back. Let me the singularity. I guess it could be called like baby steps to get to actual idea that the universe has been around and this is a soup. I mean, here's one of the things I want to tell you is that, don't we see the death and birth of stars? Yes. Now, how can we see the death and birth of stars if there's supposed to be like a big bang and an expansion? Even in this theory. How is that? We seem to talk about cycles. And this blows up, and then that stardust becomes another star, and that becomes us again. This is Cosmos from Carl Sagan. Yet, we don't do that. We don't talk about that. That's the most logical answer, in my opinion, and many people's opinions. The universe is a soup, and things are moving. The expanding has to come with redshift, and redshift comes from the idea that we see this redshift everywhere around the universe. And there we interpreted that in one way, and in fact, the redshift could be a problem and a vestige of the way light works, that it isn't perfect, and it actually gets tired and slows down, or whatever you want to call it. It has to do with the mechanism for light, which we don't have a model. So the reason the redshift exists and our interpretation is wrong is because we don't have a model for gravity, for light, and for all that stuff. Those of us who have models, and there are many of us who have models, we can try to answer those questions. So the whole thing of the Big Bang, it's like we're walking our way out of it. Folks, let's look at the evidence that we have for it. We seem not to talk about that. But according to these models, each bounce is imperfective. I'm sorry. The most likely candidates for these vestiges? Black holes. We know there are many remains of black holes. Of course, researchers need to find one of these vestiges of Neves' theories to be vindicated, but the mere possibility that there might be to actually observe remnants of previous universe in a big part of what makes this model so compelling. It's verifiable. We just need to look for traces of the events in the contraction phase that may have remained in the ongoing expansion phase. I guess that's what we're in right now. So it's in general relativity and gravitation. Let's talk about a couple of things. Number one, the use of universe here is not good. We should really be talking about matter. It's not the universe. Matter's in the universe. Universe, in my opinion, is infinite. Some people, it loops around. Somehow that works. It's okay. That's their opinion. That's fine. But it's eternal to many of us. That means there is no Big Bang, because Big Bang is based on the redshift, and the redshift is being misinterpreted. But even if there was a Big Bang, what's the mechanism for it? Why is it coming in back and forth? You have that problem. But let's talk about the word universe. The universe, in this case, really should be put in its place is matter. When they talk about it coming together and going a track, it's not the universe. It's matter in the universe. Guys, let's get it right. The second thing that's going on here, that I will say probably many times in the future as well, is that we have become muscle bound, in the sense that we will accept almost anything anybody says anymore. That is, the idea of quantum mechanics and these things of spooky action at a distance, and we have things that we don't have, wave and a light, and it's a particle, it's a wave, we don't know where it is. All of these things. We have become so muscle bound and so strong to be able to take anything. They can hit us with the most absurd ideas that come from literature, and we think. And that fantasy comes from what? Why do we sit there and we talk about these things of bouncing back and forth and leaving vestiges and all kinds of stuff like this? Why can we do this and people listen? Because we have become accustomed to basically anything. We'll accept almost anything that people write down as possible ideas for a universe, as long as they're based on the things that we did before, and you don't say Einstein's wrong, because those are emotional attacks. People will get emotionally attached to all these things. But then again, the people that keep building this house of cards, like the particle model, where they have all these particles that they invent characteristics, this is literature. This is the way we write things to make them sound interesting, so that if you put Einstein into your article, you'll be published all around the world, because Einstein, everybody knows the crazy hair. These things have nothing to do with science. The way you write it, the way they would make flowered ways they write these things, and the way these physicists talk about it in some philosophical way, and bubbles in the universe. I like to think of it as that. I'm going to try to tell you the way I think. It doesn't matter. It's all fairy tales. And we allow this. We allow them to come up with, thing called even charge. Oh, charge. Of course, it's fundamental. Well, is it? What if you have things attract just because you put the plus sign and a negative sign? Something that the Germans came up with in the 1600s because they were making chests, and they said a surplus of weight on this chest and a lack of weight on this other chest. Folks, I mean, we got to stop it. Just this flowery stuff, things to make it easy for the masses to understand, interesting reading. We misuse words. We then translate that into a universe that's just cockamamie. It just doesn't work. And anyways, that's one of the great problems, the way we use language and physics. And we allow our language and our mathematics to dictate what the universe is supposed to be. And it ain't. Because the universe is what it is. There's only one, and I am your science therapist, and I always tell you not to believe in everything that you read on faith. Don't take it on faith. Stay critical, stay thinking, read on your own. I am your science therapist, and this is just another article to give you in the state of mind. Like my mom, God rest her soul, she got into this. She could read these articles and do just what I'm doing. And she didn't have a doctorate in physics. She was a critical thinker in the end. Well, ciao for now. Hey, this is Dave D. Hilster. Be sure to check out the other YouTube channels of the critical thinkers. My father, the particle guru, he's got some great videos there where he talks about why you don't need, for instance, dark matter. And we have the king of special relativity, the critical thinker, the guy, and that's the Nick of Time. You want to check him out right here? You can see him right there. Click on him, subscribe to him. You won't regret it. These guys are great, and they will make you think.